Okay, so we're going to go now on a walk with Patch, and it's about 8:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning here in Scotland. It's very sunny, it's only a light breeze. It is a beautiful morning for a walk, and today's podcast I'd like to talk about the aspect of world peace, the topic of world peace, and what does it mean and how do we achieve it. And so my beliefs are that the outside world, there's a crow, the outside world is a reflection of the inside of us, a bit like if you've ever seen one of these animations or a diagram where the scientist tries to show you how much bigger than a human the universe is, and how much bigger the human is than an atom or the smallest building block of what the universe is made of. And we find that, I'm not a scientist, but when I see these diagrams, I always feel that our human body is about halfway in size between an atom, the smallest part of the universe, and the largest part of the universe. And I also feel that's because, come Patch, I also feel that's because we are, inside of us there is a universe. As big as we can perceive it outside, it exists within us. And also we are creators of our reality around us. And so all of the darkness and the light and the colours of our emotions and our actions, our thoughts, our feelings within us are also going on outside of us. And I feel that part of this universe and its journey is that there is always an eternal balancing of darkness and light, just like we see in the yin and yang symbol, that we are darkness and light as two sides of the same coin, that in reality there is no such thing as darkness and light, there is just a spectrum, and the words we use, darkness and light, are just either ends of the spectrum. They're not separate, they're not individual, they are just one. And wow, it's such a beautiful morning. I feel the sun around me. There's lots of crows, which to me often represent the darker aspects of nature. I absolutely love them. So yeah, how do we achieve world peace? Well, I feel that it starts from inside of us. And a huge part of peace is forgiveness. So when I think of myself, what could I forgive myself for in my life? The mistakes I made as a child, the arguments and fights I had with my friends, with my loved ones. Can I forgive myself for all the wrongdoings in this lifetime? Could I forgive myself for years of eating meat and then deciding that now it's in the last few years that it's not a good idea? But there is no judgment, and it's up to everyone what they consume. I feel, yes, with an easy breath, I can forgive myself. Can I forgive everyone else around me? Well, it's hard, right? We're taught. Come on, Patch, this way. We're taught in our lifetimes that about history. We learn a lot about our human history at school, or at least how history is perceived. And it's very interesting because in our history there have been many things, many terrible actions by humans against other humans, and it still goes on today. We're witnessing some of that just now in our lifetimes. Could we forgive genocide? Could we forgive the atrocities of war, of domination, of control, suppression, torture, murder, all these horrific things as part of our lives? And I must admit, that's something I found very hard to get my head around. Like many of us, I brought up, when I was growing up, I believed in duality. I believed that some people were good and some people were bad. I did not understand why some people are bad, but just that they had a greater capability than I did for destruction and negative behaviour. Now, in the last couple of years, I, through meditation each day, began to recall my past lives, and this really helped me on this healing journey. So what I saw in my past lives was, the sun is beautiful. I'm just walking through the woods just now. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I saw in my past life that one of my strongest gifts was a seer, the ability to see any soul, any living thing at any place in the universe, and not just to see them, but to be able to feel their emotions, and depending on the situation, I could also may even be able to control them temporarily. Like, it was almost like stepping into their soul's shoes and making them do something. Obviously that's against their will. I don't know all the detail, but there's definitely been past lives where I was a seer and I just helped find people, and it was for a force of good. And then there's other times where I've been much more negative, so it was almost like I was controlled for my gift, or I take responsibility for that, but I was helping hunt down people. When I did find people, making them give their position, and so I think that was really a big thing for me. And there was also parts of the biggest memory I had, the last memory of this seer kind of lifetime, or series of lifetimes, was I was like the early warning detection system for a planet, and the planet had been in war. I believe that the planet had been in the solar system, and there'd been war against Mars, and my job was to let everyone know whether emotion was building up, or there was an intention, or if there's a weapon being built, or whatever it was. And I saw one day that there was a very advanced civilization with planet destroying weapons, and I saw one day that the enemy was about to launch an attack on our planet to destroy it. And I could see what they were doing. I could see through their eyes and see that they had a countdown of roughly 30 minutes. And I think what was terrible about that was I knew 30 minutes was not long enough. It didn't really matter who I told. It took us hours to days to defend ourselves, or to leave the planet. And we also did not believe they had this weapon. But I could tell from their emotions they knew exactly what they were doing. And so I let it happen. I didn't tell anyone. I think I told a couple of people around me who worked in my team, and I was destroyed along with the planet. And that 30 minutes was an eternity for me. In fact, it felt like part of my soul was trapped in that 30 minutes of this agony of knowing that the beauty of this planet was about to be destroyed. Anyway, without going into too much detail, I'm sorry, I'm just connecting with that emotion as well. And it's very healing for me to do this. I felt like it took me a couple of years of meditation each day to both acknowledge my kind of intentional negativity, like working for darkness, with darkness in previous lives, and then also this particular kind of end to those cycles of the destruction of the planet. And when I reflected on this healing, the way I healed is I'd sit each morning and I would meditate, and I'd ask to be shown the face of my incarnation, and I would see them. They looked almost demonic. They were so sad and so upset and so lost. And every day I would just fill them with love and forgiveness and gratitude for the lesson, gratitude for the demonstration of the gift, and the forgiveness that there was nothing they could do. And so when I bring this experience into this life, I realize that for all the outward going intentional pain that I caused others in previous lives, and then also the kind of guilt aspect, the shame of what had happened in the destruction of the planet, that there is not duality, that duality is an illusion, and that I am both darkness and light and everything in between. And it is unfair of me to look at this outside world and see duality, for I am the same, and I believe we are all the same, and that those carrying out negative actions in this lifetime are doing so as they play out the darker aspects of this universe. And it's also up to myself and others like me to help balance the light. We can all do our bits to help balance the darkness and the light. So I think that's a great start in world peace. And the other thing I wanted to cover is, I feel that in every living thing, everything is created by Source, and the Source of this universe creates a divine spark in every living thing, from plants to humans. What's beautiful about that is that you can focus your love and your energy on that divine spark in any living thing and grow it out to expand beyond that human, for instance. There's a lot going on in this world at this time that we would love groups of humans to stop engaging in, and we can think of the divine sparks within them and send that love to them and give them the message of forgiveness and compassion and love. Love is like an ultimate weapon. If you can grow that divine spark in them just a little bit more, help them see a glimmer of it inside themselves, and that there's always the right time to stop and to go back and let every human have their own free will. That this is what we can do for ourselves and what we can do for others to bring world peace through compassion, quality, unconditional love, and forgiveness. So, that seems like quite a heavy podcast. Thank you so much for listening. It's been an absolutely beautiful morning to walk with Patch. And I feel like there's so much chaos in this world right now that I also feel counter to that. These waves, I've written a couple of songs about it recently, but there are now waves of love being sent. People are already doing what I've just described in their own way. And what's beautiful about that is that you only need hope. You don't need to actually solve every human's problem. You just need to give every human hope. And when they have hope and belief, that they will change it for themselves. So, there we go. Thank you so much for listening. Sending my love from Scotland. I love you.